we got to talk about Jim Irsay, the guy who made the Indianapolis Colts, the guy who made Indianapolis a football town. Now, I'm from Indiana. If you guys didn't know, I grew up in Terre Haute, Indiana for 13 years of my life. And then I also lived in Indianapolis for 5 years of my life growing up in my teens. So, I mean, I've grown up around the Colts. Now, I wasn't a Colts fan. I was more a Cowboys fan, but I always knew of Jim Irsay. And I always knew the impact he had on the Colts and how much he cared about his players. And he drafted Peyton Manning. And he turned that city into a football town. Everyone loves themselves some Indianapolis Colts. And I mean, you can go down the line. Like, even when Andrew Luck was there, I mean, Indianapolis, when I lived in Terre Haute, everyone's like, oh, they're tanking for Andrew Luck. Like, this is looking very similar to the 98 draft when they got Peyton. Like, you know, all this. Like, that's it. That's the kind of buildup that the Colts were getting at that time. And the Colts, they made a couple AFC championships. They made a bunch in the Manning era as well. They only came away with one Super Bowl, which is crazy to look back on some of those teams and go, man, they only got one? Like, you had Peyton Manning, Joseph Adai. You also had at one point, like, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Jeff Saturday, Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney. I mean, those Colts teams were stacked. Like, Dallas Clark, tight end. I mean, I could go on and on and on. On and on and on. But the guy who made all that possible was Jim Irsay. And I mean, he won a Super Bowl. Okay? He made 9 straight playoff appearances at one point as an owner of the Colts. And he turned them around at one point. They traded for Eric Dickerson in the 90s, and he turned it around. He was also a GM as well coming up. He's the youngest GM when he first started. He was like 24 years old. I mean, he slept, ate, and breathed football. Like, that was what Jim Irsay did. And he had a complicated history. You know, he had a hard time with drugs and his family members. He didn't grow up with a brother or sister. They passed away when he was very young. He was like 11 years old. Very unfortunate the way he grew up. And I honestly feel bad for how that all transpires. You can't fix that. But Reggie Wayne got really emotional at a press conference after he died. And we're going to go ahead and listen to Reggie Wayne, who should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what it's taking the NFL so long to do this for, but he really got emotional when it came to Jim Irsay. So let's take a listen.
Yeah, it's like losing a family member, right? You know, there was times where I felt like J.I. treated me like I was one of his sons, even though he didn't have any, you know? It's kind of funny because that's part of the conversation me and Edge had, you know. It was like we were his sons. Like he would have did anything for us. So when you lose something like that, it definitely shocks the soul.
Yeah, and he was young, man. I mean, 65 years old. That's a pretty young age. But yeah, he's gone way too soon. And you know, talk about iconic owners like Jerry Jones, Jim Irsay. Like, when you talk about some of the greatest owners in NFL history, those are the first two guys that come to my head. Like, point blank, period. And they make an impact. They're the brand, so to speak, for that respective team. I mean, that's what it is when it comes down to a guy like that who wants to win, who cares about his players. And that's what you want to see. Like Peyton Manning said it best in an interview, like, that's a guy you want to go play for. That's a guy you want to go play for. And I mean, he had a very successful tenure as an owner. And he was a very loyal owner. He loved his players. And like Reggie Wayne said, he treated him like a son. He'd do anything for them. But Jim Irsay, dead at 65 years old.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my